Hi, guys, welcome to the recap of the 6th round of the FIDE Candidates 2026. It's quite dark in here because it's late in the night, but we are going to do the recap here and we are going to show you all that happened today in the ChessBase mobile app recap of the day. Today was an incredible day because Javokhir Sinadarov scored his 5th win of the tournament and he played truly epic chess, and we're going to see that right here where Amruta's actually going to show you what were his insane moves that he played to score a win against Wei. Over to you, Amruta.
Well, Sagar, it was an incredible day, but every day is incredible now that Sindarov is playing. And in this position, Sindarov started with c6, actually allowing knight f6 and such a double pawn with the king in the center. That is so daring. First of all, I would say bishop h4, rook g8, takes the control of this g file, attacking this. Short castle was played by Wei over here, and a very cute little move a4, binding it over here. Here Wei went for b4, and the opposite happened. But Sindarov, this guy is not interested to collect a pawn. He is like, no, I am not interested to give you all sorts of compensation. He went bishop g4, again showing some classy understanding, giving up, like he had double bishop, but he gives up one bishop for the knight over here and goes bishop d4, which at this point Wei thought for 47 minutes. Because it was a big decision, there is a free pawn. Do you capture it or no? And what happens even if you take it over here? Nothing is super clear. And that's why Wei finally captured this pawn, and Sindarov nicely went queen d7. Here anybody would say, okay, this is protected, so rook d1 feels more natural. In the future you can give some exchange sacrifice, though the computers said keep the rook over here, your queen could be deflected. And he went rook d1, and then again a calm quiet move, queen e6. So this guy Sindarov is playing completely dynamic chess, but very calmly, very quietly. And after that he won the c4 pawn, he got the rook here, he took his king over here to g8. This rook was active and he went on to win more material, and Wei landed in time pressure and he just completely crushed it.
Amazing. Well, Amruta, Sindarov is on a roll here in this tournament.
Yes.
And now it's time for us to go to another game, which in the open section, remaining 3 games ended in draws. Anish versus Bluebaum was a draw, a very solid one. It lasted long, but it ended in a draw. The other one was Caruana, who couldn't get the better of Andrei Esipenko, and that was actually a big blow for Fabiano Caruana because now he trails Sindarov by 1.5 points. We come to the game of Hikaru Nakamura versus Pragnananda, and in this position, if we look at here, it's a very complicated position because Prag with the black pieces has a queenside majority, 3 pawns versus 2. While Hikaru has a central majority. And here, Prag, there was a repetition actually in this position.
Yeah, this was a final position here.
Yeah, they were repeating like this. They were repeating the moves. So this was the position where back and forth. And here, Prag had the option of maybe playing rook e8, this rook to e8 and continuing. But he played the knight to e5 and agreed to a draw. And I don't know if this is the best decision. The position was around equal. Prag is at 50% score and now 2.5 points behind Sindarov. Will he manage to catch up Javokhir or not? This remains to be seen. But these are the standings in the open section. Sindarov is leading with 5.5 out of 6. Well, if he draws all his games, most likely he'll be the champion. 1.5 points behind him is Fabiano Caruana. And then on 3 points, we have several players. Let's see what happens here. In the women's section, we now go to the 2 Indian players who had a wonderful day today. Vaishali beat her opponent Katrina Lagno, while Divya got the better of Bibisara Asaubayeva. Let's first have a look at Vaishali's game, because here there were incredible combinations. Vaishali is black, she's completely winning this position, but she plays it in her style. She goes for the sacrifice with bishop f3.
She had like 1 or 2 minutes on the clock, I think, and to make many moves. Both of them were under heavy time pressure.
Right, and this position is looking quite weak here for the king. Lagno takes, pawn takes, of course threatening a check and mate here. So she went queen d3, a very nice move. She's planning to take this pawn, and Vaishali here actually got a bit tensed and played rook f5, which was a blunder. She had to find rook takes e3, not an easy move, because after queen takes g6 check, king h8, now you will see that taking this is not possible because of check and mate. So that's the reason why she has to play in this position. Lagno has to play fe3, and here Vaishali had a winning move which was too difficult to see under time pressure, which was knight f6. A beautiful move. The knight is coming to g4, because it might seem like f2 wins, but it doesn't after king g2. So that's the reason why knight f6, and then Vaishali is winning in this position. However, all this was too complex to see with just a minute on the clock, and that's the reason why Vaishali decided to play the move rook to f5. And now all of a sudden, this is completely winning here for white. Katrina Lagno is now a piece up. Rook takes f3. Vaishali played knight to g5, and bishop takes g5. Rook takes g5, and played rook g3. And this is where Vaishali played a very, very cheeky move. This is a very interesting move, queen h3. And the thing is, you can't take the queen because this is pinned, and if you take here, it's a mate. So here somehow Katrina had to find a winning idea, and there are two winning ideas for her, clearly winning. One is queen f3 with the idea of h4, queen g2, a very tough move but a very nice move, and then the queens get traded and white is winning. The other one is knight d2, so that if h4, you go knight queen f1, very nice move again, because after takes, you take with the knight, and it might seem like you are losing a rook, but in comes f4, and once again you are winning.
Wow.
Because you attack. So these were very complicated wins that existed in the position, but Katrina was also down to very little time on the clock, so she blundered with queen f1, and this was just the blunder that Vaishali needed, because after rook takes rook, pawn takes, queen g2, it seems like white is defending, but Vaishali finds this beautiful move, queen e3 check. And now after king h2, rook g5, and it's game over. The queen and the rook combine beautifully to actually launch a very big attack. In fact, Vaishali even let the queen enter in, and the king is so safe. There are no more checks in this position, and it is just mate coming up, and so black won this game. And what a truly insane performance by Vaishali. With this, she scores her first win. She moves to 3 out of 6, and now just 1 point behind the leader. We have the game of Divya Deshmukh as well, as she took on Bibisara Asaubayeva, and once again we see the never say die spirit of Divya. She is playing here like how Gukesh played with Ding Liren in the World Championship match, not agreeing to draws. And here you can see that Divya was black. She played the move queen b4. The thing is, Divya is a pawn up, but her pawns are doubled. White is dominating a little bit with this passer, but black is holding on. Rook c4. They repeated once. Again she went in. Repeated twice. And at this point, Bibisara played this move and could have claimed threefold repetition. In fact, a photographic draw, because 3 times the same position has arisen. But instead of doing that, she thought Divya will repeat and Divya will claim. And Divya suddenly stunned her opponent with the move Queen D8. And I think this threw her off a bit. And then the game became completely wild after Knight E5, D, Rook D1, a very good move. And Divya, I think the worst was behind her. She managed to somehow figure out a win. This is equal actually, the position, but she managed to win from this position. And so this was the first win for Divya as well. So Divya and Vaishali both having similar trajectory in the tournament with 3 out of 4. But there's one player who's rushing ahead in the women's section, and she is the last minute replacement in the tournament for Koneru Hampi, and she's Anna Muzichuk. And Amruta, how did Anna really show her class?
Oh my god, it's insane what Anna is already doing over here. This was the position with wonderful knights in general. The king feeling slightly weak. She goes for f5, looking at the h4.
Against Zhu Jinner, yeah?
Against Zhu Jinner, who has, by the way, been incredible form, but unfortunately the results are not working out for her so many times. This was attacked and Anna is going for aggressive play. G3, Zhu Jinner protects the pawn and Anna goes with f4, trying to completely shake the structure here, and rook takes f4. But these knights, looking at this, it becomes quite irritating with this pawn also being a little bit shaky. So h5 was played and Anna here had to assess 2 pieces for a rook. So rook takes c2, knight takes c2, queen takes c2, or maybe I think the move order was rook f1, knight f1 and then takes. And this position happened, queen h4 check, and then she collected the pawn over here and the rook came in. The king was weak, though there was possibility for white to play a little better at 1 or 2 moments, but it was too practically difficult with such an exposed king, and she actually beats Zhu Jinner and takes on the lead. So Anna Muzichuk leading the event in women's section, Sindarov in the open section, and it's incredible journey we are able to witness here. All the people over here are like flabbergasted with, whoa, what's happening? This was not expected.
Yeah, and last 1 round left before we reach halfway mark. Thank you, Amruta. Thank you, guys. This was the recap of the day.